In today's society, trans people are always looked at with a fine-tooth comb. Society tries to make sure that we fit a mold that they want us to fit, else we're not good enough to them and we aren't supported. But the mold that they say they want us to fit is an ever-changing one, full of moving goalposts, and only leads to one goal: our erasure. Trans people are constantly thrusted into scenarios where we have to appease an impossible standard of quote-unquote normal so that we're accepted in society. I want to use this video to show you why we have no reason to prove ourselves to anyone, and why the quote-unquote standards that are put on us are part of a deeper meaning that society purposely makes sure will never fit. No part of our person needs to be proved to anyone. Time and time again, I've seen boxes from transphobes shift over and over, saying we just have to do this and we'll be accepted. We can't show ourselves. We have to act a certain way, dress a certain way, cause as little conflict as possible, and not speak up against the harm that's put on us. The harm that legislation does, the harm that transphobia does. We'll never be seen as enough for them, and they know this deep down. Their version of enough is us being gone. Yet, they continue to lie to us and give us an illusion of acceptance if we keep changing and changing and changing and changing. But with all that changing, they're trying to strip us of ourselves. Strip us of being queer, strip us of being trans, strip us of our identity. I want to use an example thrown at me, a trans woman, and thrown at other trans people in general. We often get told, scolded repeatedly about our wardrobe. If I don't dress societally perceived femininely enough, I'm told I'm not trying hard enough and that they can't see me as a woman because of that. But if I dress too societally perceived femininely, I get told that I'm trying too hard and that they can't see me as a woman because of that. While both those scenarios may seem on opposite ends of the same spectrum, they both come down to a single phrase: they can't see me as a woman. This is especially relevant when you apply the same rules they use against me to their view of cis women. While yes, cis women are actively berated or actively targets of misogyny just like trans women, some cis women, especially white cis women, don't get their gender demonized and erased because of how they choose to present themselves in the same way that trans women do. The trans label is always applied derogatorily by society to those women that society deems as, quote, not enough. This happens with trans women and has also been a point that racist transphobes will use towards Black, Indigenous, and POC cis women, acting as if being trans is some sort of problem that makes those who they don't like lesser, because they view everyone not like them as lesser. My point is, when cis women do have their gender taken into question, it's partially because people are applying their views of trans women to them. Trans misogyny reinforces and adds towards the views of general misogyny, and misogyny as a whole has a huge intersection with racism that needs to be properly discussed and understood. All to say, the transphobic demonization of gender affects more than just trans people. It affects cis people in many ways as well. But even if it didn't, that wouldn't mean you shouldn't care. This further goes to show that they'll never allow us, people they don't like, to be near the idea of woman in their mind, because their idea of woman is shrouded by bigotry, transphobia, and racism. We have no reason to try to prove ourselves to these people, not just because we'll never reach them, but because their opinion doesn't matter. How they view us and how they treat us doesn't change who we are at all. On a similar note, trans people shouldn't have to justify the terms that we don't like being called. If there's a phrase, an honorific, a word that refers to us, literally anything, we shouldn't have to justify why we don't like it for people to accept that we just don't like it. In my case, to give some terms I personally don't like being called: dude, bro, man, or guy. I shouldn't have to give a long rundown definition of how these terms can make me feel dysphoric, can make me really uncomfortable, and in the case of certain cis quote-unquote allies, can show me that they don't view me as a woman. Me simply saying that I don't want you to call me these should be enough for you to not call me these. End of statement. This goes for any phrase. Even if they don't feel like blatant misgendering to you, that doesn't mean they can't cause harm to someone. I won't go into further detail here, but a lot of a recent video of mine discusses phrases like this and why they can be harmful. Another major point that I wanted to hit in this video was regarding attempts to have us justify medical procedures or lack of for ourselves. I want to drop a quick blanket statement before we get into this section. Being trans does not require any kind of medical transition, any kind of surgery, any kind of anything medical related at all. Believing this is called being transmed. If you're transmed, get out. My space is not and will not ever be for you. Stop pushing your harmful transphobic rhetoric. This topic ties deeper into how society sees being trans as a medical condition that, quote, needs to be treated. It's not. It's simply a part of who we are. It's simply that we are transgender. Sure, some of us, including myself, want to be or are on HRT for our bodies to match who we truly are, who we truly see ourselves as. But this is by no means every case of being trans, and it's not a requirement of being trans. When I've said in the past that any gender can look any way, can be any way, I mean it. There's no obligation to do anything to be the gender that you want to be, simply because you already are that gender. It's entirely normal, valid, and usual to want to change part of yourself to better align to who you truly are. But these qualities and characteristics aren't tied exclusively to any gender. Society views us trans people as something that needs to be, quote, fixed. So they try to process our journey in a way that fits for them, in a purely medical way. They view dysphoria as something you need to be diagnosed with so you can get properly treated, rather than acknowledging what it actually is: someone feeling discomfort due to a misalignment of their body and their true self, or a misrepresentation of them compared to their true self, among other valid definitions as well. Sure, one way dysphoria can be alleviated can be via HRT. It definitely was in my case, but to act like that's the only way that dysphoria can be treated is at best a misrepresentation of our experiences, and at worst, an erasure of those experiences. Heck, I've even already mentioned in the video that being called certain phrases can give me dysphoria. Is there a medical way to get people to stop using certain terms for me? There's not. Dysphoria itself isn't a medical condition that has to be treated in medical ways. It's part of our personal journeys and is something that we all find ways to alleviate in ways that are best for us. Many alleviate it by social transitioning, many alleviate it by discovering and accepting parts of themselves, many of us alleviate it by finding a wardrobe that suits us, by finding terms that fit us better, and many of us still do alleviate it with HRT and surgeries. There's no correct way to be transgender. There's no wrong way to be transgender. We simply are. No matter what you do, it doesn't invalidate your identity. It doesn't invalidate who you are. It doesn't invalidate, in my case, that I'm trans, that I'm a woman, and nothing will ever change that. And constantly trying to force us to prove ourselves, to put a barrier of entry behind being who we truly are, will forever serve as a harmful transphobic action that does nothing but erase our experiences and stops us from being us. Thank you for watching, everyone, and thank you all so much for 10,000 subscribers. I know we're really far past that, but I haven't had a chance to properly thank you all in a video yet. The support and love you've given me lately has been genuinely overwhelming in the best way, and it makes me feel hopeful for the future for the first time in a long time. If you want to see more of me in discussions like this, head over to my Twitch. Partner over there is a long-term goal of mine and one that I would love to reach sometime this year, because all the support you all have given me, I'm really close. I'm about to start an official partner push. So anybody heading over there while I'm live and lurking genuinely means the world. That's all for me now, though. I love and appreciate you all, and if you haven't heard it today, I'm proud of you.